Alright, brush monkeys, we are back, and we are taking a look at the, we're painting the Necromunda Escher gang that I put together in last week's video, Prepping Metal Minis, painting them up as Harley Quinns. And as you can see, I've already got a fair number of them done, which is kind of unusual for a video like this, but you may remember, as you probably may or may not know, I do these videos months and months and months in advance. And so a lot of these have already been prepped and primed and everything for a long time. And way back in March, I did an event called Paint-a-palooza at my local game store, Tabletop Gaming Hobby. And it was a fantastic event. I had a lot of fun. Got a lot more minis painted than I meant to. I actually meant to hold about 8 of them for this video and paint the rest at Paint-a-palooza. And I got the 6 that I had set aside for Paint-a-palooza done, and then 4 more. And so I've still got 4 that need to be painted, and I'm going to paint them up here. And as you can see, I got a pretty wide variety of reds and blues and reds and blacks, shade washes, metallic colors, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to get into all that as I'm going. You'll also notice this one right here still has some white on her, and that's because this one, if I can zoom in correctly here, this one has a plasma cannon, and that plasma cannon, the plasma chamber there, I am going to use to illustrate the OSL effect, the object source lighting, make it look like that plasma chamber is lit up and it's going to glow blue. You may recall in the Sisters of Battle videos, I went over this briefly with a sister that had a plasma pistol. Plasma pistol's a little small, it's a little hard to see what's going on. A plasma cannon, I think, will show it better. And we're going to do something a little different with it too. We're using this Daler-Rowney Forge World inks. I've got blue here, and then we're going to lighten it up with white, and probably do a couple of layers of white added to the blue. And then we're going to do just straight white over the center part of the chamber. And all that's going to make it look like the chamber is glowing, and is going to look really good by the time I'm done with it. So I wanted to set her aside for that. She's the only one that's not matte sealed as well. All the rest of these are done. They're completely finished. Now you'll also notice that these 4 here are duplicates of ones that I've got over here. You can see when I put them out next to their dupes. There we go. Now, the way I'm going to differentiate these a little bit is where the finished figure is painted. Well, first of all, you'll have noticed I alternated between painting red and black and red and blue for Harley's color scheme. She does both of them in the comic books. She does both of them in the movies. So I've utilized both of them in these gangers. For the duplicates, what I'm going to do is, like for example, this one was painted red and black. Okay, that one's got all her color scheme in red and black. So this one, essentially the same figure, this one's going to be red and blue instead, and that'll help differentiate the two on the battlefield. And that's how I'm going to do pretty much all of them. This one was red and blue, so this one's going to be red and black. That's simple. And of course they'll all have their Necromunda bases with the spiffy little hazard stripes and the dirt and everything. It's going to look awesome. I think they're going to look really good. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and get set up to do the airbrushing on the plasma cannon. And then we'll come back and show you how to do some OSL effects. Alright? And then we'll get into the rest of these girls. So I'll see you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, we're back. And I'm getting ready to do the OSL effect on the plasma cannon here. Pardon the air compressor that's for my airbrush. it's a little loud, and it's running almost constantly because I have a slow leak in the system somewhere. I'm not sure where. It's going to take me some time to lock that down, but I can't do that right now. So we're starting out with 3 drops of white ink to about 6 drops of FW De La Rowney indigo ink, the stuff, and it's like just barely a 2-to-1 mixture. I'm doing this in this little. This was actually like padding for a shipping thing, but it works out really nicely for a mixing palette, and that's kind of what we're ending up with. This little blue right here, and I'm using my Sotar 2020 airbrush because I'm looking to get really fine control on the space. It's a little small space, and the Sotar is better for that kind of thing. That's also why I'm using ink, because the Sotar is remarkably temperamental when it comes to putting anything too thick through the airbrush. It gets really bent out of shape fast for anything too thick. Okay, so we got that. Now what I'm going to do on this is let me get a pen here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to airbrush just a little bit over the edges of the white section here. Okay, so I'm going to go from about here to about here with this blue. So my eyes aren't what they used to be. Let me get my magnifiers on here. Really hate to screw this up on camera. This is the kind of nerve-wracking thing about doing this sort of thing, is you really only get one pass at it. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. A little over. There we go. All right. And don't worry too much if you get a little overspray on the figure. You can see on there. That's going to help sell the OSL effect. You want that on there because it's going to make it look like the lighting, okay? All right. Now you can see I still have some ink in the airbrush. All I'm going to do is add a little more white to it. Okay. Not going to dump it out. Not going to clean the airbrush. Just going to add five more drops of white. And try to get the lid screwed on tight before I put it down and dump it on myself. I'm using an old airbrush here to stir it. And there we go. We end up with a lighter blue. And I'm just going to blow it until it shows up, just like that. Okay. And with this kind of thing, you want a lot of really tight control. You want to start out with air and then just pull back real gentle on the trigger until you start getting ink, because you don't want a whole lot coming out all at once. Okay. And on this, we're going to try to keep it mostly on the plasma chamber itself. Right in there on the chamber. There we go. There we go. Okay, again. Got a lot of overspray on that, but I'm going to put the brush down here. Okay, I want to zoom in on this so you can see this. Yep, there we go. Come on. Come on. There you go. See, now you can see you got overspray on there, but it's also making it look like that plasma chamber is lit up, which is going to help sell that. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow out the rest of the ink that's in the airbrush because I don't want any more blue. I've got dark blue on the outside, I got light blue on the inside. Come on, there we go. Okay. I'm going to try to get just a little bit more light blue in there. There we go. Just want a little bit lighter in there. Beautiful, beautiful. Alright, so now I'm going to blow off the rest of this and clean it out a little bit. And what I'm aiming to do, once I get the blue ink out of there, I'm going to put white ink in and aim just for the very center of the plasma chamber. So, bear with me while I blow this off here. I had a lot more ink in there than I actually needed, which is why it's taking a little while to blow that off. Okay. Rub that out. The Sotar 2020 from Badger is a beautiful airbrush for doing fine detail work, but it is a notoriously temperamental little beast. It is really picky about the thickness of the paint you put through it. It's really temperamental about being cleaned properly. It's a fickle little mistress, but the results are well worth it. It is absolutely beautiful stuff. There we go. Come on. So make sure it actually is blowing stuff out. There it is. Bear with me a second. Said about being notoriously temperamental about being cleaned properly. Alright, I don't know if you can see that or not. When I'm blowing into this jar, when I'm blowing the ink into this jar, there's fumes coming out of this end here. Just right here. And as long as there's fumes coming out of there, it lets me know that it's working properly and it's blowing it out. This, not having it. There we go. Come on. Okay. I'll make sure I get that backwash in there. See, it's doing this nonsense where it wants to... There we go. Why is that not? We need a more. Oh, that's not fantastic. Ah, there we go. That's got it. Okay. I was like, why isn't that backwashing into the... See, and every so often you run into a little problem. You get the shit all up in there. open the airbrush itself, and I'm not sure how to fix that. Bear with me, I'm experiencing technical difficulties with the Sotar, which is not entirely unusual. Okay. I'm going to pause here for a second, clean this out a little better, and then I'll come back and do the white, alright? See you soon. Alright, I think I got the problems taken care of, so let's, yeah, there we go, now we're blowing white. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to this figure, and we're going to put just, okay, where I started out saying do the dark blue just a little bit to the outside, and then do the light blue just on the plasma chamber itself. We're going to do white just a little bit right in the middle of the plasma chamber. I'm going to try to keep it right on the middle of the plasma chamber. Okay, there we go. There we go, yeah. Alright. Now let me blow off the rest of this ink, and I will show you what this puppy looks like, because this looks amazing. And this is one of my favorite uses of the airbrush, doing OSL effects like this, because you get a very nice, realistic glow effect, and you also, it gets a nice fade to the outside edge of the light, which is exactly what you want from this kind of thing. So let me zoom in on that bad bitch. Look. Come on. Come on. Bear with me as my camera's being a punk. Come on. This camera's not cooperating with me today. That's what I get for filming on Friday the 13th. There we go. Alright, so now you can see with the white on there and the blue, and again a little bit of overspray on the figure itself, it really sells that effect that the plasma chamber is glowing. It's got all that plasma power going through there, and it's looking pretty spiffy, right? I'm really loving how that looks. Fortunately, I've only got the one plasma cannon to go to do today, so that's that. And so that's the plasma chamber. That's really all it is. And like I said, that's what I love using an airbrush for this for, because you get that nice glow effect to it. Under the right lighting, in the right camera angles, it looks amazing on camera, and that's done. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and when that dries, I'll matte seal it, matte sealer, and then we'll get on to the next 4 Harleys. All right, see you soon. Alright, so I'm back at the workbench, about ready to start on these beauties, and I wanted to touch on a couple of notes of how I got, as you may or may not know, Harley Quinn has fairly pale skin and pale blonde hair, and I wanted to touch on how I got those effects with these figures. The skin is base coat of the Wraithbone base paint with about a 2-to-1 mix of Guilliman flesh to contrast medium. 2 drops of contrast medium to 1 of Guilliman flesh. So it comes out a very thin wash, and that just highlights, or just covers the highlights of the, exposes the highlights of the skin, and gets into the depths of them and brings out those details without necessarily darkening the skin a whole lot. So you still have that very pale skin tone, but you can still pick out all the details. The hair is something I actually hit on at the event. You'll notice this first one here has got very, very yellow hair, very yellow blonde hair. This was trying to mix yellow with white, and actually I had a homebrewed pale yellow that was a mix of yellow and white, and I mixed that together and then tried to dry brush white over the top of it, and it still came out very, very yellow. But the rest of them have a very nice pale. If you look at pictures of Harley, she's got almost white hair. So what I did for the rest of them was I found this. This is Reaper Master Series Core Colors, and this is 09033 pale, Golden Blonde. This is what I use for the base of the hair, and it's basically the shade step 2, and then I'll dry brush Praxetti white over the top of that to get that very pale, almost white, almost platinum blonde. And I'll do that for all of them. Then the ones that you see that have the red and blue streaks in their hair, all that is the Citadel Drakenhof Nightshade for the blue and Carroburg Crimson for the red. That's it. I just wait for the hair to dry and then basically dye it with those colors. And that's how I get those. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and base coat the skin and hair of all these ladies, and we'll come back and show you what they look like, and then we'll start in on the main colors of the bodies. Alright? See you soon. Alright, I'm back, and I've got just the hair and skin done on these ladies. And if I can get my camera to cooperate with me just for once. This thing is not wanting to play nice today. Okay. There we go. Now you can see that the skin tone on them, that's that watered down Guilliman flesh. Didn't change the tone of the skin a lot. And yet, brought out all those details. Made her abs pop, made the facial features pop. The hair is nice and platinum blonde, having been dry brushed and based with the white. And they're all like that right now. You can see they all look pretty good right now. So, the thing I liked about doing these at the Paint-a-palooza and why I got so many of them done, and the thing I'm going to continue on as a theme with these girls, is these are metal miniatures on plastic bases. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit of the old school and a little bit of the new school. So I've been painting them as such. Doing a mix of regular traditional paints, contrast paints, metallics on some of them. Some of them are getting red and blue like the movies, some of them like the newer movies, some of them are getting red and black like the old comic books and cartoons. And I'm doing that kind of mix of old school and new school with them throughout the paint jobs. So I've kind of been experimenting with that a lot, and even though I've tried a lot of different techniques with them, you can see with the ones I've gotten finished already that it still looks really good, and it looks like a unifying army. They all look like they're part of the same gang, even though there's a variety of colors and techniques and paints used on them. They still managed to maintain that unit appearance. Some of that has to do with the basing, that I've done the basing the same on all of them. They all have, all of them are mostly steel. They all have a little bronze part. They all have a part that has a hazard stripe, and they all have the hazard striping along the base. And then they're all washed with Agrax Earthshade and had weathering powders applied and that kind of thing. So they're all based the same, and basing makes a huge difference with some of these armies. These ladies are all going to be kind of similar. They're all going to have, in fact, you can even see on ones that I have the same kind of base on there, I've angled it 2 different ways. So this one's got the little ladder part that goes straight across. This one's got a kind of an angle. This one's got the same kind of base, and I turn it around all together so the ladder part's kind of behind her a little bit. So it kind of breaks up the monotony and makes it look like different sections of the same area, but they'll all have the same kind of hazard striping. I might paint hazard striping in different places on those 3 bases just to break them up a little bit. I might do the ladder as hazard striping instead of painting it bronze. We'll see. But that's what I'm going for on these girls. I'm going to go ahead and take a break now and do the common colors that are the same through all of them. Their guns are all going to be Black Templar, then dry brushed with steel, dry brushed is it Necron Compound. Their ammo pouches and whatnot are going to be the same. Their clothing is what's going to differ the most between them. But, excuse me, so I'm going to go ahead and take a break and then go do that, and then when we come back we'll take a look at the progress I've made on them. Alright, so I will see you in a little bit. Bye. Alright, I've made some progress, so it's update time. I've got the main colors of these girls blocked in. The blues and reds, blacks and reds. And I've done some combinations of things, like this one's got contrast red but solid black. This other one's got contrast red and solid or metallic blue. I think this one's got solid red and contrast blue, and then this one's got solid red and contrast black. I've also got their loincloths blocked in. The loincloth is going to be another point of differentiation between the originals and the twins. And this is another kind of throwback to the original Escher gangers. They usually had these like wild animal print loincloths. So you can see on that one she's got red and black clothing and a tiger stripe loincloth on her there. So her twin here, obviously I painted her in blue and red, and she's probably going to have a leopard print loincloth. Same with just the opposite with this one. This one's got blue and red leopard print, and so her twin's going to have black and red and probably a tiger stripe. The reason I stick to the tiger stripes and leopard prints is because those are the only 2 animal prints I know how to paint. I wish I had some bigger reason for doing it that way, but yeah, that's really it. Those are the 2 I know how to do. So I'm gonna try doing these loincloths a little bit differently too. I shaded the other 2 with Fuegan orange. I think I'm going to do these 2 with Casadora yellow and see how that turns out. Otherwise, I've got their hair dyed up. As you can see, I tried to do the hair dyes a little differently than I did the originals too, so those would be another point of difference. And I still have the metallics to do on them, which is where the bases come in. So I got to dry brush the guns. I got to paint all their little golds, the buckles, the belt buckles, the jewelry. They all got earrings and stuff on there. Some of them have armbands. Okay. Yeah, like she's got an armband on her. So I'll do up all those little jewelry items and metallic parts, and then get to painting the bases. With the other 10, I did the bases after I did the miniatures, so I think I might probably do that again. So I'm going to do all the jewelry and all the little metal bits on them and dry brush the guns and the combat knife on that one. And then I'll come back and do a quick update before I start in on the bases. Alright, so I will see you in a bit. I'm going to take another break and then go do those updates, or do those bits on them, and then we'll come back and update. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, Brush Monkeys, update time. I've based the golds on their earrings and armbands and hairbands and things like that. And obviously I painted the bases and painted all the bronzes on the bases, painted the hazard stripes on the bases, but not on the base bands yet. And I thought I would probably do a tutorial on that. But the Averland Sunset that I use for a base is a little bit thin, and so it's probably going to need another layer. So I'm going to let these girls dry, and then I still have to do the hazard stripes on the base band. I still have to do the animal prints and shading on their loincloths here, and then layer up the golds. And then I got my weathering powder out to do the weathering on the bases, which I'll have to do after I shade wash them. I'll have to wash them with the Agrax Earth Shade. So wanted to take a moment here and give you a quick update, and then I'm going to take a break, let these dry for a little bit. I'm going to layer the Averland Sunset on the base bands, do the golds, do the shade washing on the loincloths, and then I'll come back and probably do a quick tutorial on how I do the hazard stripes on the base bands, and how it kind of ties in with these ones I've already done on the bases. We'll just kind of extend those out onto the base band and use that for the basis for painting the base bands. But I'll get into that in a minute. So just wanted to give you a quick update, and we'll be back here in a couple minutes. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, Brush Monkeys, we're back, and the base bands have been layered and they're all dry and they look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get into how to do hazard stripes on these girls. And for that, I'm just going to use a little bit of matte black, Army Painter matte black, and the base color, that yellow base color, is Citadel's Averland Sunset base. Fantastic base paint. But you base it in the Averland Sunset, and then you get just a little bit of black paint on your brush, and all you do is you paint just a diagonal line, and you can go from anywhere really. If you've got some already done like this, you can go straight from them and just draw a diagonal line like that, just like that. That's all it is. And like I said, I'm extending these that are already on the base. I'm kind of going off of that. You can make them as wide or as narrow as you want. Doing hazard stripes on a beveled base like this is a little bit frustrating because they never come out. They never come out even. Never. And I don't know why that is. I'm sure somebody way smarter than me can explain why that never comes out right, but they never want to cooperate. But that's how you do. You paint two lines and then fill it in. And generally speaking, on things with hazard stripes, the black stripe and the yellow stripe are roughly the same width. So however wide you draw the black stripe, skip over that amount of space on the yellow before you do your next black stripe. So it comes out like that. And you don't need to measure it or tape it off or anything like that. You can just eyeball it. Although having said that, now that's probably the reason why mine never come out even. It's because I'm just eyeballing it instead of actually measuring it or drawing lines with tape. I did actually try to do this with tape one time. Get some of that Tamiya narrow tape. But the added, see, I got some that are really kind of narrow over here because they're blending in with those, but then I got some that are kind of wide. But yeah, it'll do. It gets the effect across. So that's all you do. You just draw a black line. Kind of try to line it up with the Like I said, if you've got some that are already done on the base to go to the edge, just go ahead and continue them out on the base band. There we go. And that'll kind of help tie the whole thing in together. I'm hoping this is all showing up on camera. It's kind of hard to paint and pay attention to where the camera is pointed at the same time. If you have a problem with not being able to draw a straight line with your brush, another thing you can do, and I kind of messed it up right there, if you have trouble drawing a straight line, like you can't just go side to side like that and draw a straight line, hold the figure at an angle. Just completely messed up one of my lines. Okay, so hold the figure at an angle, right? And just draw your brush straight down on it. Boom. Just like that. That hit the edge of the cork, but you get the idea. And I'll do the same thing. So I messed it back here. No. And sometimes that could be easier to do it that way. So there you go. That's all that's involved in making hazard stripes. That's all I've done with any of these. It's just drawing black lines on yellow paint. Try to space them out about the same evenness, and there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and pause and finish up these two girls and finish up the golds and dry brush the guns, and then we'll come back and weather the bases and we'll call it done. Alright? See you soon. Bye. Alright, Brush Monkeys, update time once again. As you can see, I've got the golds painted. I've got their guns dry brushed with the Necron compound, and I've got their bases shade washed with the Agrax Earth shade. I'm going to let that dry, and then when we come back, I'll show you how to weather the bases using this MIG weathering pigments, which are fantastic, and using this makeup brush. It's an elf contour brush, if I can get that to focus. There we go. It's an ELF contour brush, eyes, lips, face contour brush. This is a makeup brush that you can find at just about any, I got mine at Walgreens. You can buy them at CVS Pharmacy, any place they sell makeup, and it's just this little short little makeup brush. These things are fantastic for doing dry brushing, especially if you're doing dry brushing on bases and using weathering powders and that kind of thing. And I'll show you how to use that as soon as we come back. I'm going to take a break right now and let those weathering, or let the shade washing dry, and I'll put the paints away, and then when we come back we'll weather the bases, matte seal these girls, and they're done. So we're coming up on the end of it here. So we'll see you soon. Bye. Alright, Brush Monkeys, we are back, and it looks like the shade washing on the bases has dried. So we're going to get into doing the weathering powders, and this is really easy. Like I said, I'm using this eyes, lips, face ELF contour brush from the makeup department at Walgreens, and I'm using these MIG pigments. This is their I don't have the lid on it anymore, lid label on it anymore. It's basically just dried earth pigment, dirt pigment, and it's open it up. It's a pot kind of like the Citadel pots, but you see it's dried pigments down in there. And you just get a little bit on the brush, like that. And then you dab it all around on the base. You'll see right off the bat, makes it look a little, tones down the metallics, makes it look kind of dirty. And it's kind of looking a little dirty anyway from the shade wash, the Agrax Earth Shade. But the powder definitely helps that. Just blow off the excess, and there you go. And you can see, here's a base without the powder, there's a base with the powder. And it gets that kind of dirty, gritty, 40K, living in the underhives kind of look to it. And just do that to all of them. And it's a really quick and easy process, as you can see. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to just dirty up a base here. See, and that even tones down the yellows of the hazard stripes. Makes them look a little older and more worn. It's a great effect for these old, not old, but for these Necromunda miniatures where they're supposed to be living down in the depths of a hive city, way, way deep underground. So of course not everything is going to be new. Everything's going to be kind of dirty. If you feel like you got a little too much on there, you can always just kind of brush it off. And there you go. That's really all it is. Now all 4 of those are done. All that's left is to matte seal them. So the next time you see these ladies, they will be completely finished. The ELF brush, when you go to clean it, you can basically just wash it off in a paint pot and swirl it around on a paper towel if you want. It's really not necessary. You can just kind of rub the brush on a paper towel to get off the excess powder. The powder doesn't get into it as much as paint does. So there you go. Like I said, next time you see these girls, they'll be completely finished. They'll be all matte sealed and everything, and then we can move on to the next thing. All right. So I will see you in a bit. And there you go, brush monkeys. The Escher gang from Necromunda, the Harleys, my little homebrew chapter here is all done, and they are looking all kinds of spiffy. And you can see that glow effect on the plasma cannon that I told you about during that segment, and they're all looking really good. I'm pretty happy with how they came out. Even the ones that are the basically copies of the same figure all look different enough that you'd really have to pay attention to the pose to see that they're the same figure. So this is only the second Necromunda gang I've ever painted. The first one was a Delac gang that I painted in a Blanchitsu style. That was before I started doing my YouTube channel. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how these girls came out. I got a lot of them done at the Paint-a-palooza a few months back, and now I finished these 4 up front here for you, and they're looking pretty good. So next week we're gonna start. I'm gonna wrap that up for this video. Next week we're gonna start in on this young lady here. This is another Reaper Bones figure. It's a female wizard, I'm guessing, possibly an elf, though I can't tell from her ears. Her name is Autumn Bronzeleaf. So I've got a couple of interesting color schemes for her to print out. So I think that's going to be interesting. I've got an idea for her that I think is going to be neat. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up and get the video edited together. and get this out. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. Click the subscribe button if you want to see more and want to be notified when new videos come out. Check out the links in the video description for links to our Patreon page and our Instagram, so you can see all the different ways that you can support me in doing what I do, and get your hands on some of these miniatures that I've painted if you want one of your own. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook if you want to see updates and see when new videos get posted. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.